Hi, everybody. Welcome to Social Work 668. This week, we are going to be covering different types of sampling to help you think about preparing for the next assignment after the logic model, which is our final assignment for this class, the program evaluation. So sit tight as I share my screen. Okay. We're also going to talk a little bit about client satisfaction surveys along with sampling. So last week we covered formative and process evaluation to help you understand how they fit into our overall evaluation plan. Just to reiterate the fact that most of my students do end up doing outcome evaluation for this class. So remember to reach out to me if you are interested in a formative or process evaluation approach. We also had a discussion board assignment, which you looked at standards for varying accreditation bodies, and then you thought a little bit about how that could maybe impact your process of developing your program and what kind of standards might fit for your needs. The survey results for our midterm are in, and I'm going to go over those next. So first of all, thank you so much for the positive feedback that you've given Brandon and I throughout this course. I'm going to highlight a few things that I learned from each section to just show you that we are listening to your feedback and it is incredibly important to us. I'm going to post the PowerPoint slides so if you are curious, you can take a more in-depth look. So what I found that you are all enjoying are multiple ways to engage with material, fast turnaround with grading assignments and, attentiveness and thoroughness of the instructor and really fast communication. So thank you so much for that feedback. That really helps us keep going as well. Some things that hindered your learning, many people said that nothing is hindering your learning at this point, but others of you said that sometimes the expectations on the assignments are not super clear, or somebody said that they had not much of a hindrance, but more of a complaint, which they would like a lessened workload on the weeks that papers are due. So we are going to listen to that feedback this week because your logic models are due, and we are going to give everybody automatic points for your soft chalk lesson. So hopefully that will take some things off your plate. I don't want to distract you from doing the soft chalk lesson because it is about sampling, which is then going to lead to a piece of our assignment for the program evaluation, but hopefully it will take something off of your plate. The next thing we asked is just what suggestions you have to improve the course so it better supports your learning. Again, you all had a lot of positive feedback, but I did want to share one great idea I saw in this. People like the Zoom option meetings, the synchronous meetings before the big assignments are due. But someone said, maybe since it's midterm, we can post on the discussion board saying, hey, we all need support. If someone wants to give out their number or email to be support to each other, volunteer here, or something like that. And the other class that they have right now, there's 2 group assignments and they partnered with the same person in both and they kept each other's numbers. So I'm also going to start a discussion board thread this week about just this very thing to see if anybody wants to post some sort of exchange or volunteer your support to another student. I love these ideas. Some things that have helped yourself learn in this course, and I think this is really helpful for just sharing ideas with each other. Sometimes students that are doing well have a lot of great ideas to offer students that feel like they're struggling in certain aspects of the course. So that's why I add in this question. Viewing on multiple outlets to gain a better understanding of concepts learned. That's actually why I like to use YouTube to post my videos each week, because I think, hey, if you're going for a walk, you can use this on your phone to listen to the weekly video. If you're sitting in carpool, you might want to re-listen to the weekly content. I try to post things that are most accessible for you. Somebody said they kept a physical planner where they write everything down related to coursework and they check it off. And I think that's so helpful. Rewatching parts of the video, concentrating efforts on the assignments and less on soft chalk. That is definitely a great strategy. Looking up examples, and also making a Word document every week and copying and pasting what needs to be read, the assignments, etc. So everything is one place. And lastly, people said that they got a lot out of reaching out for help when needed. Some things that prevented their or hindered learning in this course is that some students said that they feel like they're nervous to reach out because they have a stupid question. And Brandon and I just want to reiterate that after our last synchronous session, we said so many students said that they thought that they had a stupid question or a not so intelligent question. And typically those questions are questions that other students have. So please do not hesitate to reach out. We will never shame you for answering any kind of question. Even if we've already posted the answer to your question, we will redirect you to that post. Just please don't allow the fear of our judgment of your question prevent you from reaching out, because honestly, there is no judgment on our end. Our jobs are to really make sure you have access to all the information that you need and that we can get that to you. Some people feel hindered by missing assignments, having to take time off for family emergencies. If you feel like this is the case for you, please reach out. I've developed several plans with students where, I've opened up previous assignments for them to do. If you get behind due to a family emergency or some, personal having, we are more than happy to accommodate you so that you can get caught up in this course. What can you do to improve yourself and your performance in this course? People said asking more questions, more studying, stop procrastinating, trying to figure out better scheduling. So some helpful hints in here to help you all. And other comments, I just want to say thank you so much. Brandon and I are so encouraged by the fact that you feel like you're getting something out of this course and you are enjoying working with us, because we are definitely enjoying working with you. On that note, I am going to reach out to all of you this week with a personal email orienting you to your grade in this course. So any place where there is a blank, I'm going to fill it in with a 0 so that you have a sense of like where you are exactly in this course. That does not mean that I am going to permanently make that a 0. I just think that we all need a realistic expectation of what our grade is halfway through the semester so that we can maybe work on remedying some of you who are not happy with your grade by catching up, and then just reinforcing those of you who are on track that this is where you're at in the course and keep up the great work, okay? We can't go back, we can only move forward, and there still will be plenty of opportunities for points. So this week's reading is really about client satisfaction surveys and sampling. And these two things really do they serve two different purposes within the program evaluation context. Because we want to think when we're developing our logic models, remember what we want to increase and what we want to decrease in our client population. And that really gets us thinking about next week's material, which really relates to measurement. So let's say we want to not only look at how satisfied our clients are with our services, but maybe how we can measure that satisfaction and maybe outcomes, let's say depression, anxiety, wellness. So we want ways to figure out how to measure if our program, which we are using as an intervention, actually is making a measurable impact on our clients' lives or our population of focus lives. Sampling is another thing that we need to think about because we want to figure out a strategy for sampling, which I'm going to get to in 1 second. So our journal is designed to help you think more about what kind of sampling would be right for you and what your sampling frame, i.e. the people that you are going to include in your sampling, what that looks like. We have an optional synchronous session tonight, which is Tuesday, March 1st from 7:30 to 8:30 p.m. via Zoom. I'm going to send out a reminder for that shortly. Okay, So when we think about sampling and getting ready for our program evaluation assignment, our first decision to make is, do we want to use non-probability or probability sampling? Okay, so these are two types of sampling designs, and we'll start with non-probability because we tend to use non-probability sampling when we have a smaller sampling frame. So for example, if we are working with a small nonprofit organization, let's say we are doing an intervention with their workers, we're trying to, let's say, develop an employee wellness program for a small nonprofit. Every single worker at that organization will be in our sampling frame. And it would make sense to include all of them because that's not that many people. If we, let's say, are doing the entire child welfare system in the state of Kentucky, there's no way we can reasonably expect to reach out to every single CPS worker in the state of Kentucky. So we are going to have to come up with a strategy for sampling, maybe selecting at random. Okay, so we're going to get to that in a minute. So that's probability sampling. Right now we are in non-probability sampling when we're working with smaller populations. So they may also be called convenient sampling, availability, accidental, quota sampling, or purposive or purposeful sampling. They are going to provide a lot of insight, or this sampling strategy might provide a lot of insight, but we have to state that the sample is not scientifically determined because we're not using randomization. However, I don't want to dissuade you from using this kind of sampling. I mainly use non-probability sample because I operate in the land of, small qualitative studies, case studies, organizational studies that tend to be smaller. They're easy to construct, they're less involved, they're less expensive. That is a strength. You won't create a sampling frame, so a real or virtual list of every individual in the entire population. So let's say I'm working with a small nonprofit in the city of Louisville. I don't need to create a sampling frame where I'm looking at every nonprofit in the state of Kentucky. It's just not the purpose when you are looking at non-probability designs. They do provide you a quick estimate of the group. The findings may be accurate, but they might also be considered a fluke and not represent the reality. So for example, if I look at my results related to the small nonprofit and the sample of workers that I worked with in Louisville, I can't extrapolate that information onto, this is representative of all small nonprofits throughout the entire nation or the entire United States. So we have to be realistic about what we're learning. That does not mean that our findings are meaningless, though. You still can do a great program evaluation with non-probability sampling designs. So it's a sampling technique where the odds of any member of being selected from a sample cannot be calculated. It's the opposite of probability sampling because you don't have to calculate the odds. In addition, probability sampling involves random selection where non-probability sampling does not. It relies on the subjective judgment of the researcher or the research team. So remember, we're doing non-probability sampling, we are not using randomization. If we're doing probability sampling, we are using randomization. Okay, so we cannot calculate any odds. So we don't have to include something that everybody in the sampling frame had a 10% odds of being selected for the sample. So let's go through some advantages and disadvantages of non-probability sampling. A major advantage is that compared to probability sampling, it's very cost and time effective. It's also easy to use and can be used when it's impossible to conduct probability sampling. Another thing you want to think about, I think, logical comparison to make is that most of you for your needs assessment used a non-probability sampling approach. Most of you used convenience sampling. So you reached out in your network to people that you knew to be able to fulfill your sample of 3 individuals, okay? But you did not use randomization in that or any other type of sampling. Another major disadvantage of non-probability sampling is that it's impossible to know how well you are representing your population. So for example, it might be transferable to other settings, sort of similar, maybe small nonprofits across the United States, but we can't say that, you know, our goal is to inform nonprofits across America, because you can't calculate confidence intervals or margins of error. Okay, so if you want some more information, I have linked Stephanie Glenn into PowerPoint presentation. She writes about statistics and different non-probability sampling designs and definitions. So moving on to probability sampling. So sampling that involves randomization. Okay, so probability sampling is based on the fact that every member of the population has a known or equal chance of being selected. So let's say I'm saying every CPS worker in the state of an equal chance of being selected. So if you had 100 people, each would have the odds of 1 out of 100 of being chosen. With non-probability sampling, that is not the case. Okay, probability sampling gives you the best chance to create a sample that's truly representative of the population, because using randomization actually increases your trust, and it really links to this idea of reliability and validity that is commonly used in research. So using probability sampling for finding sample sizes means that you can employ statistical techniques like confidence intervals and margins of errors to validate your results. So the reason why people are so attached to probability sampling is because it is linked to validation, something that is not really in the wheelhouse of non-probability sampling. Okay, so that is a quick and dirty explanation of the differences between probability, non-probability sampling. Next week, we have single systems and group research designs. Remember, our logic model is due 1 week from today, March 8th at 11:59 p.m. So some tips to be successful for the logic model assignment. When in doubt, review session 6, which includes all the resources you need. Also look under the assignments tab. That has links to example logic models, templates. Review the full assignment description and examples. Contact us if you have any questions. Brandon has also done a supplementary video this week to help you really break down the assignment, and I have also done a video. So lots of resources are available to you, and I just want to give you a hand clap. What you've done so well so far. I've loved your logic models, the ones that I so far, and I've been impressed with you that are taking on a traditional approach to the logic model using some of the existing templates, but don't feel the need to be boxed in. I also like those of you who have taken a more creative approach. I'm always open to innovation to make sure you are focusing on improved outcomes. That's really the final goal. That's the thing to think about. Is what steps am I going to take to improve outcomes amongst my population of focus? Okay, so remember this week to practice self-care. One of the things I hope that we can build into this course is really releasing the responsibility of having to do, or at least having to think about points associated with our soft chalk for this week, because we are giving you automatic points. All right, everybody, I am going to stop sharing my screen, and I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your week, and I will hopefully see a lot of you tonight. Take care. Bye.